Hi, I'm Artie Nemco. I usually read my own Psychology Today articles on these YouTube videos and occasionally intersperse my piano playing. But very occasionally, I find an essay that I would like to share with you and that is written by somebody else. And that's what I'm doing here today. You may recall Roger Ebert of Siskel and Ebert, the famous film critics, and he wrote an essay called Go Gentle Into That Good Night. And I'm now going to read it to you. I know it is coming, and I do not fear it, because I believe there is nothing on the other side of death to fear. I hope to be spared as much pain as possible on the approach path. I was perfectly content before I was born, and I think of death as the same state. What I am grateful for is the gift of intelligence, and for life, love, wonder, and laughter. You can't say it wasn't interesting. My lifetime's memories are what I brought home from the trip. I will require them for eternity no more than the little souvenir of the Eiffel Tower I brought home from Paris. I don't expect to die anytime soon, but it could happen this moment, while I'm writing. I was talking the other day with Jim Toback, a friend of 35 years, and the conversation turned to our deaths, as it always does. Ask someone how they feel about death, he said, and they're going to tell you everyone's going to die. Ask them. In the next 30 seconds? No, that's not going to happen. How about this afternoon? No. What you really ask them to admit is, oh my God, I don't really exist, and I might be gone at any given second. Me too, but I hope not. I have plans. Still, this blog has led me resolutely toward the contemplation of death. In the beginning, I found myself drawn toward writing about my life. Everyone's life story is awaiting only the final page. Then I began writing on the subject of evolution, that most consoling of all the sciences, and was engulfed in an unforeseen discussion about God, the afterlife, and religion. When I began this blog, I thought if there was one thing I'd never write about, it would be religion. But you, my readers, have wanted to write about it. In thousands of messages, 500,000 words. Life, science, belief, gods, evolution, intelligent design, the afterlife, reincarnation, the nature of reality, what came before the Big Bang, what waits after the final entropy, the nature of intelligence, the reality of the self, death, death, death. This dialogue still continues. The thread beneath the evolution entry, posted December 3rd, has drawn nearly 1,900 comments, some of them longer than the entry, and it's still active. How did I find a group of readers with so many metaphysicians? This has been an education for me. No one will read all the comments except me, but if you did, you could learn all a layman should be expected to understand about the quantum level. You would discover a defender of intelligent design, so articulate that when he was away for a couple of days, the Darwinians began to fret and miss him. You would have the mathematical theory of infinity explained, so that while you will still be unable to conceive of infinity, you will understand the thinking involved. My opinions have been challenged. I had to defend what I believed. I did some more reading. I discovered fractals and strange attractors. I wrote an entry about the way I believe in God, which is to say I do not at least in the God that most people mean when they say God. I grant you that if a universe was caused, there might have been a causer, but that entity or force must by definition be outside space and time, beyond all categories of thought or non-thought, transcending existence or non-existence. What is the utility of arguing our so-called beliefs about it? What about the awesome possibility that there was no cause? What if everything just happened? I was told I was an atheist, or an agnostic, or a deist. I refused all labels. It's too easy for others to pin one on me and believe they understand me. I'm still working on understanding myself. To explain myself, I turned to Walt Whitman. So do we all. How sad if our freedom to think about the immensity of time and space could be defined by what someone informs us that we believe. But certainly, some readers have informed me, it is a tragic and dreary business to go into death without faith. I don't feel that way. Faith is neutral. All depends on what is believed in. I have no desire to live forever. The concept frightens me. I relate it to the horror of the hero of Poe's book, The Premature Burial. To be in your grave and know it. Ah, but I am told the afterlife does not involve time at all. In that case, how can it be eternal? Eternity is only thinkable in a universe that contains time. But if I had but world enough and time, I could spend time pondering a world without end. That whole discussion has been forging ahead on one hand. On the other hand, we have been puzzling over quantum mechanics, which suggests the possibility of instantaneous communication between two entangled particles, even if they're at opposite ends of the universe. Not that the universe has ends. This happens independently of time and space. They've proven it in their labs. If the scientists are correct, everything, everywhere is, in some sense, the same thing, in the same place, or it might as well be. That, too, is small consolation. All I can do is think with my mind. All I can be is who I seem to myself. I can only be where it seems that I am. Time seems to move quickly or slowly, but it is time all the same. My wristwatch proves it. I believe that my wristwatch exists, and even when I'm unconscious, it is ticking all the same. You have to start somewhere. It is within these assumptions that I must live. Even if everything everywhere is the same, I must eat an orange or I will die of scurvy. So within that reality, someday I will certainly die. I'm 66, have had cancer, will die sooner than most of those reading this. That is in the nature of things. When I read about the nature of life from Camus, the odds were that he would die sooner than me. Thomas Wolfe, who wrote about a wind-grieved ghost, was already dead. Cormac McCarthy will probably live longer than me, and there is Shakespeare, who came as close as any man to immortality. In my plans for life after death, I say, again with Whitman, and with Will, the brother in Saul Bellows' Herzog, I say, look for me in the weather reports. Raised as a Catholic, I internalize the social values of that faith and still hold most of them, even though its theology no longer persuades me. I wrote about that too. I have no quarrel with what anyone else subscribes to. Everyone deals with these things in his own way, and I have no truths to impart. All I require of a religion is that it not insist I believe in it. I know a priest, a lovely man, whose eyes twinkle when he says, "You go about God's work in your way, and I'll go about it in his." What I expect will most probably happen is that my body will fail, my mind will cease to function, and that'll be that. My genes will not live on because I have had no children. Perhaps I've been infertile. If I discover that somewhere along the way I conceived a child, let that child step forward, and he or she will behold a happy man. Through my wife, I've had stepchildren and grandchildren, and I love them unconditionally, which is the only kind of love worth bothering with. I am comforted by Richard Dawkins' theory of memes. Those are mental units, thoughts, ideas, gestures, notions, songs, beliefs, rhymes, ideals, teachings, sayings, phrases, cliches that move from mind to mind as genes move from body to body. After a lifetime of writing, teaching, broadcasting, and happily torturing people with my jokes, I will leave behind more memes than many. They will all eventually die as well, but so it goes. I drank for many years in a tavern that had a photograph of Brendan Behan on the wall, and under it this quotation which I memorized. I respect kindness in human beings first of all, and kindness to animals. I don't respect the law. I have a total irreverence for anything connected with society, except that which makes the roads safer, the beer stronger, the food cheaper, and the old men and old women warmer in the winter and happier in the summer. For 57 words, that does a pretty good job of summing it up. Kindness covers all my political beliefs. No need to spell them out. I believe that if, at the end of it all, according to our abilities, we've done something to make others a little happier, and something to make ourselves a little happier, that's about the best we can do. To make others less happy is a crime. To make ourselves unhappy is where all crime starts. We must try to contribute joy to the world. That's true no matter what our problems, our health, our circumstances. We must try. I didn't always know this, and I'm happy I lived long enough to find it out. In a moment, or in a few years, maybe several, I'll encounter what Henry James called on his deathbed the distinguished thing. I may not be conscious of the moment of passing. I have already been declared dead. It wasn't so bad. After a ruptured artery following my first cancer surgery, the doctors thought I was finished. My wife, Chaz, said she sensed I was still alive, and communicating with her that I wasn't finished yet. She said hearts were beating in unison, although my heartbeat couldn't be discovered. She told the doctors I was alive. They did what doctors do, and here I am, alive. Do I believe her? Absolutely. I believe her literally, not symbolically, figuratively, or spiritually. I believe she was actually aware of my call, and that she sensed my heartbeat. I believe she did it in the real physical world I've described, the one I live in with my wristwatch. I see no reason why such communication could not take place. I'm not talking about telepathy, psychic phenomena, or a miracle. The only miracle is that she was there when it happened, as she was for many long days and nights. I'm talking about her standing there and knowing something. Haven't many of us experienced that? Come on, haven't you? I admire Skeptic Magazine, but I'm not interested in their explanation or debunking of this event. What goes on happens at a level not accessible to scientists, theologians, mystics, physicists, philosophers, or psychiatrists. It's a human kind of thing. Someday I will no longer call out and there'll be no heartbeat. What happens then? From my point of view, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Still, as I wrote today to a woman I have known since she was 6, you'd better cry at my memorial service. I have been corresponding with a dear friend, the wise and gentle Australian director Paul Cox. Our subject sometimes turns to death, and in 1988 he made a luminous documentary called Vincent, The Life and Death of Vincent van Gogh. Today, Paul wrote to me that in his Arles days, Van Gogh called himself a simple worshipper of the external Buddha. Paul told me that in those days Vincent wrote, "Thank you, good Paul. I think that is a lovely thing to read, and a relief to find out that I will probably not have to go on foot. Or as the little dog Milou says whenever Tintin proposes a journey, pas à pied, j'espère espérer." Anyway, that is the essay written by the famous Roger Ebert of Siskel and Ebert, the former film critic. And I just thought it's very much not my view. It's more spiritual than Marty Nemko tends to be. But this is not all about Marty Nemko's worldview. As indeed, I preach the importance of considering views other than your own, and I like to walk the talk, so that's why I read you this essay. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments, and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts have broader impact. And in any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.